All right. Okay. Well, this is the navigating the Texas Workforce Commission for musicians. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Um, yeah. So this is put on by the Employment Compensation Advisory Committee of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractors, 1099 workers. Others work as employee W 2 workers in various aspects of the music industry. And then Jonathan's going to read the mission statement.
Yeah, the goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to TWC or the Texas Workforce Commission, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
All right. And then we have a legal disclaimer. Uh, the information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment related action. Before taking any employment related action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right. Um, and next up, we have some reminders um, about some of the web resources here. The Texas Workforce Commission has a Facebook page, and they're putting out a lot of information every single day there to help folks get on unemployment. Uh, the union has also set up the local 433 musicians unemployment information sharing page, and that's on Facebook. And we're posting a lot of that information there from the TWC and from other sources to help musicians. Um, there's the official website of the TWC is twc.texas.gov, and that's also where you sign in to register and apply for unemployment, and also where you request payment and get all kinds of other business done with the TWC. And then we also have the union's COVID-19 pandemic resources page, which is just afm433.com/COVID-19, and that has lots of different resources for dealing with the crisis and the pandemic. So, um, fellas, I guess we should start with beverages. I'm drinking coffee. Anybody drinking anything stronger?
Green tea.
Nice,
Just coffee
nice,
here.
excellent. uh, Jonathan and Mark are both joining me today, and you may know Mark as Kaz as well.
That's
um,
me.
yeah. So, all right, man. Well, we do have an email address set up for the committee. That's at ucac at afm433.com. And you can email questions there. We haven't received any there just yet, um, but that's possible. And then we also have the chat window on the YouTube stream. If you have a question, please type it in there, and I'll keep an eye on that. And we can kind of go from there. But I guess we should start by just kind of talking about how our experiences have been with this rapidly changing um, situation with the Texas Workforce Commission. Either you guys want to start with that?
Well, I think what you said about rapidly changing is the theme of this whole process, or at least it has been for me. Um, I think describing it as a roller coaster ride would be pretty apt. I started the process on March 22nd and finally got unemployment benefits from TWC about 4 days ago. So that was more than a month's worth of difficulty and changing scenarios. And one thing that I would have to say in this whole process is that keep at it because I think to some extent some of the problems that were there before or early in the process have been ironed out. For example, when I first applied, there was not a category for independent contractors or self-employed musicians, which I am in that now in that category. So my initial my initial unemployment application was put into the general category of wage earners. And so I was denied. So I had to keep at it, and eventually TWC retrofitted their website so that it would accommodate self-employed people, and it is now accommodating self-employed people. That said, the whole vector of this whole process is, like you said, Aaron, constantly changing, and I wouldn't expect that to be any different next week or 2 weeks or a month from now. It's very, very difficult to navigate this, but if you keep at it, you're going to get to a place where you're going to get some money from them, and that's a good thing.
Just as a time perspective thing, how many weeks ago did you start, Mark?
My application was sent in on March 22nd. I received a notification from TWC about 10 days later. No, I'm sorry. Actually, I received a notification that I should submit a payment request. Now, I also have to say that on March 22nd, and for most of the days since then, it has been very difficult to get on to, even to log on to the TWC website. It's gotten easier, but back in March, it was impossible. I mean, you could call them 100 times and you'd never get anything but a busy signal. You could try to get on the website 100 times and you would never get on. So it was a very difficult process. What happened with me was that I managed to get an email address from somewhere, I don't even remember where, and I emailed somebody and they said they would have somebody call me, and lo and behold, within an hour, somebody called me and filled out the application for me online with me on the phone with them. So wow. That began my application process. Honestly, if that hadn't happened, I think it would have been at least a week or 10 days more of frustration on my part trying to get it done myself. But anyway, once that got done and my application was accepted, the next step in the process is to fill out a payment request, which I did. And of course, my payment request was denied because that early in the game, TWC did not have a category in their processing for independent contractors or self-employed musicians.
So we're talking about right around April 1st then, probably the beginning of the month-ish.
A beginning of April, when that first week of April, when I began hearing from my contacts at TWC that they were in the process of changing over the website and they would be able to accept applications for self-employment. In my case, because I had already applied, my application was automatically changed over into the self-employed category, which was nice for me. So I didn't have to actually fill out another application. So in other words, it went under my original application. The benefit of that also for me was that once I got payment, all the payments were backdated to March 22nd, which is when I first applied.
Cool.
Yeah. So another thing I would say is if you're thinking about applying, get going, because the sooner you get your application in, that's the starting date for you to get your benefits. And if you put it in now and you don't get, your application doesn't get accepted for a week and your payment request doesn't work and for another 2 or 3 weeks, it will all get backdated. Once you're accepted, it'll get backdated to the date that you originally filed your application.
Right.
All right. What about you,
If in
Jonathan?
doubt, I was just going to say, if in doubt, put in an application, because the worst they could do is deny you. And so, as long as you just you tell them exactly what if you're honest, give them your true earnings and the hours worked on those payment requests. The worst they can do is deny you. But for me, my situation is very different. Uh, I am a W-2 employee, so I'm not a contractor or not considered a contractor, independent, self-employed. I am employed. I do have several employers, but I am considered an employee. So, and actually, I am very lucky because I had a couple of years ago a friend of mine in a union member in Tennessee, a musician in Tennessee, similar situation as me, W-2 employee, told me that he every summer takes unemployment because he's in a situation where the summer weeks there isn't work with the employers that he's with, so he has a lot of weeks without work. So he just fills out an unemployment application every year in the summertime. And so luckily for me, I was still on my previous application from back in August. And so I've been filing. That's what I recommend to everyone. If you fill out your application, continue to fill out those payment requests every 2 weeks until you run out of benefits. Even if you start working back, you never know if if you get a gig down the road, and then there's another flare up of COVID, and and then they have to close the bars again, or they close the venues again. Keep filling out your payment requests because you don't want to have to fill out another application later this year.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think the recovery of this for the music business is going to be longer than other businesses. So we have to start getting ready for an extended period without work, which is scary. But
Well, I call it maintaining my spotless calendar.
oh yes, just give it a little polish every day, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
clean it up, make sure nothing gets on there, no debris or anything.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, my situation is kind of in between you guys. I have um, several jobs where I'm an employee, and then several other jobs where I'm a 1099 contractor, um, and I also work as an employee of my own LLC corporation. So um, so that's how I initially applied for unemployment, and that was only about 3 weeks ago or so. And so I put my information in first for my own business, you know, and my self-employed business, put that in, and it's in on the application, it has a place where you put your employer, um, and then there's an option where you can click not listed, and that's where I clicked on the not listed part, and it gave me the option to put in more information.
Hmm.
So that's how I did that, and then several days later, I got something in the mail from the TWC, basically saying, "Is it true that this person worked for you during these dates?" And the person was me, and it was addressed to me. So it was, "Hey, Aaron, did you work for Aaron during these dates?" And if you did, or if that person did, then there's nothing you need to do. But if you want to protest that, or if this is not correct, then you have to send this piece of mail back to the TWC. But it was all correct because it was exactly what I had entered into the system. So then after that happened, I received like a statement of benefits, or not a statement of benefits, I guess a statement of some sort of statement that had information about my W-2 employers, that they had, because those are tied to your Social Security number, just like your taxes are. Um, and so it had those things, and the state, I guess, the statement of wages earned from the previous quarter is what it was. Um, and then several days after that, I got another statement with the information about my self-employed business. Um, and some of this came in the mail, but most of it came through the electronic communications thing on the TWC website, and we should definitely talk about that, because I believe now they have it where they automatically, you don't get a choice, you automatically are signed up for electronic communications, whereas I think it was an option when I applied, and probably when you applied as well, Kaz, it was probably,
Yeah.
that was an optional thing, but now they do it automatically. And what it is a mailbox on the TWC website. After you log in, you can see this mailbox called the Electronic Communications Inbox. And what they tell you is that they're going to email you whenever they put a document into that inbox. But in my case, that has never happened. I've gotten about 15 documents in that inbox, and there's never been a notification to any of my email addresses that something new was put in there.
I think that may have just started a day or two ago.
Yeah.
The emailing.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
I had never gotten one until yesterday, and
Oh,
then
wow.
I did get an email saying there was something in the correspondence box.
Interesting. Yeah. So maybe the gears are starting to move with that. Do you have any experience with that, Jonathan?
It seems like I have, but it's hard for me to say with certainty because I get. But I do check my TWC page regularly since I'm updating it every 2 weeks, and I'm used to doing that. So um, I'm sure I've gotten a notice or two in my email, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually called your correspondence inbox
There you go.
right.
Yeah.
on the TWC website. One other thing to add to that is on that menu there on the TWC website, you will see various things to check. And obviously, when it comes time for you to fill out your payment request, once your application has been accepted, that's where you do it under payment request. But one thing I would recommend for everybody to be very careful about is when you are setting up your direct deposit, make absolutely sure that you get all the numbers and your account number exactly right. I later found out that and I don't know why, but my account number that I had put in was not my exact account number. And my bank had to correct that with TWC, which they did. But I would urge everybody to make sure if you're setting up direct deposit that you get the numbers exactly right, the way your bank recommends that they be.
One other thing too, make sure that you're inputting your income correctly because they do check and they have access to that information. I think back in November, because I've been inputting my payment requests every 2 weeks since last summer. In November, I estimated my income for that week by about $7, and I got a letter in the mail saying I owed them $7 from a payment request. So they took it off of my next payment. So they're on it. They see these things.
Yeah.
One thing to add here, if you're in the self-employed independent contractor category, and they accept your application, they're going to send you a document or two describing what you have to do to prove that you are self-employed and to indicate to them that you have documents showing that you're self-employed. One of those is going to be probably your 2019 tax return. And what they're interested in is your 1040 and your Schedule C, which you would fill out if you have your own business, if you're self-employed. The reason why I bring that up is not particularly to mention those things, but to mention how you get those documents to the TWC. I talked to a guy in San Antonio earlier this week who said that they are weeks behind looking at that information. So two things about that. Again, one thing is make sure to get your application in as soon as you can, because if it takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to process your documents, you will be backdated in your benefits to the day that you actually apply. The other thing that I could bring up about that is that I have been advised not to mail those documents or email those documents, but rather to fax them. Well, that said, my daughter, who is going through this process, tried to fax her documents in earlier this week, and the fax line was busy permanently. So again, we're in that situation of constantly changing roller coaster ride here. Just keep at it, it'll get resolved.
Man. All right, we do have a question in the chat room. They say, so if you asked for unemployment through a W-2 job, how do you go about also getting unemployment for 1099 work as well, since that is most of my income? Is it one or the other, and how do you do both?
Aaron, I think you should answer that one, right? Because you did.
I guess I'm the one that's done that. I should qualify that though by saying that I have not actually received a payment because I'm still working 2 of the W-2, actually 3 of the W-2 jobs that I do. So I haven't actually qualified for unemployment for those jobs, and so it hasn't gotten down to where I can get unemployment for the other jobs, for the self-employment stuff. So it's in the initial employment thing. What I did was that's where I reported my self-employed job under the not listed category in the initial application. It hit not listed for employer, and then I put myself as the employer. I never actually put in the information for my W-2 jobs. The TWC found that information because it's tied to my social number because I pay taxes on that income. So that's kind of how I was able to do that. Although I can't really say it's been successful yet. The problem is when you qualify in my position where I have W-2 and 1099, when you qualify for unemployment under the W-2 jobs, but you still are making too much money to actually get a payment, then it doesn't actually, they don't take into account your self-employed jobs, it seems like, until that level drops low enough. And then also the thing to think about is you don't qualify for the pandemic unemployment assistance, the PUA, until you've gotten through the rest of the unemployment system. Now that's different from the $600 thing, and that extra boost on top of whatever else you're getting. Have you guys gotten that $600 yet?
I have, yes.
And that's per week?
Per week, yeah. I actually got mine today.
Yay!
Congratulations.
2 weeks worth, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting that also, although, like I said, I'm backdated to March 22nd, and I noticed when I opened up the view details for each week that that first week that I was backdated and paid to did not include that $600 because I don't think it was actually in there yet. I mean, I don't think the federal program that was doling out that money to the states had even geared that up yet by then.
I didn't get it until about 2 weeks ago.
Right,
So,
right,
so
right.
2 weeks ago, I think about when they started doing that 2 to 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah,
And then one thing that's important to remember for the question asker and for everyone is to just follow the TWC Facebook page and follow the TWC website because of all the changes that are happening. Since it's the independent contractor unemployment assistance thing is new, that's going to continue to change every day probably. So.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Yeah,
and it's very hard to keep up with it. I mean, you really got to be diligent and work hard, to get all the new information that's coming down the pipe.
There is I do want to have a reminder again at 2 o'clock after we finish here. The TWC does their live session on Facebook Live, and I think they only take questions from the press. But the press are usually asking questions from their viewers or their readers. So you can submit questions to those journalists, and there is a chat stream on the side as well in that Facebook Live session. I haven't seen them take questions directly from that chat because there's a lot of sort of disenfranchised folks in that chat. Most a lot of complaints about what's happening because it's keeping folks from getting benefits. But that is a source of information. There is some good information happening there. So just try to stay positive, and keep getting the updated information. Yeah, for sure. Our information sharing page on the unions. The union has a new Facebook page called the unemployment. What's it called? Unemployment information sharing page, and that we're going to be kind of posting the parts of those updates from the TWC that are relevant to musicians, as well as we can find them. But if you see something that we've missed, let us know because we can put it up there and everyone can benefit from it there, hopefully. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you for asking that question. And did we answer the question? Did that make sense? Let us know. And anybody else that has a question, there are several ways you can ask a question for this group. We have a website. I'm sorry, we have an email address now, and it's just ucac@afm433.com. You can also comment on the YouTube comment stream in the live session here, and you can leave a question on the Facebook post where we announced this session. But we haven't seen any comments there yet. But we may. I think we should talk about, guys, the process of requesting payment, because it's kind of misleading because you're not just requesting a payment. You have to actually accomplish several things with the payment request, right?
Well,
I look at
Go ahead, Jonathan. Go ahead.
I mean, I look at payment requests as more or less just a statement of your income and a statement that you were available and willing to work. Mm-hmm. So, and if they deem that you were qualified to receive a payment, then they will be issuing you a payment. If they don't, then they will not.
So
yeah, basically, payment requests happen every 2 weeks. And when you do a payment request, your payment request is based on the prior 2 weeks. Claim week 1 and claim week 2, and they fall into 2-week cycles.
Even if you don't get paid those weeks, it's for how much you worked
Right.
in those weeks.
So if you earn 0 in claim week 1 and you earn 0 in claim week 2, that's what you should put down, right? Once you're granted benefits, and if you, at least if you're in the self-employed independent contractor category, you're granted a minimum amount of benefit, which I don't think it's wrong to say is $207 a week. You increase that by submitting other documents. But basically, you're going to get that $207 a week if you put down 0 income for claim week 1 and 0 income for claim week 2. That's going to give you the $207 for each one of those claim weeks, plus the $600 added on for those 2 weeks, each week. So that's basically how the payment request process works if you're in the self-employed category. If you do put down earnings for the week, like let's say you put down $75, that is going to reduce your minimum benefit, your $207 minimum benefit for that week, for that claim week.
And I don't know what the threshold is, but it does, I believe, have to be over a certain threshold. So if you make $15 and you declare that, I think you would be okay. You might still earn your 207 or whatever their calculation is, plus 600. But make sure you put it all in there. Like I said, back in November, I got a letter saying I was $7 under, and they're keeping track.
No, that's good advice, man, for sure. Yeah. So the request for payment, you don't actually request what the amount of the payment is. You're really you're documenting whether you earned anything in those weeks, and then they determine whether or not they can send you a payment and how much it is. You don't have to worry about that part.
Well, they actually determine what the minimum payment is before you do your payment request. Like I got a letter from TWC saying you have been accepted for benefits. Your minimum benefit is $207. And I think that's basically across the board for everybody. Then I filled out a payment request. And I do that every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That $207 a week is not going to change until they process the information that I sent them about my taxes and my self-employed income for 2019. Once they get that information, which, as I said earlier, really literally could be weeks out, but once they get that information, they can increase the $207 up to, I think it was 450 or something like that.
I think it's 500 and change, 520 maybe.
Right.
But of course, before tax. So then it goes,
Right.
They take out tax, of course. One other thing that you have to do in your payment request is there's a work search requirement that for now is suspended.
Is waived.
But yes, it's waived. So you can put down 0 work searches and you still qualify. Now, before the pandemic happened, I believe you're required to make a number of work search you're required to make a number of work search contacts, I believe is how they phrase it. As a union member, we are never required to do those work searches because we are a member of a union, and that satisfies that request for that. We can get work through the union hall.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Jonathan. Yeah, that is true, and it's kind of mentioned in the initial application in a kind of archaic way, though. On the initial application, it says something about hiring hall. Does your union have a hiring hall or similar job search function? And of course, every union does. So so that is in there, but a lot of folks are like, "Where's the hiring hall?" And it's there, trust me. So, yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. That's great. All right. Do we have any other questions? Oh, yeah. The person who asked the first question says yes. Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, for answering or asking rather. Um, yeah. So we did talk about the direct deposit. Do either of you guys are you guys both doing the direct deposit, or are you doing checks? Are either you doing like mailing checks or anything like that?
No, I would recommend the direct deposit. You get your money very quickly
Yeah.
after your payment request. It comes through in a couple of days. I requested my payment Wednesday, and I got it this morning.
Okay. What about you, Mark? Has it been? It was direct, right?
Yes, I have direct deposit set up. And once again, there was some kind of problem with the account number that I submitted that I thought was the correct one. Oddly enough, there was some communication between TWC and my bank where, according to TWC, they corrected my account number with the help of my bank. I'm not sure how that all went down, but
Hmm. Well, I'm glad to hear it. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jonathan just mentioned the day. We should talk about the day. Everyone has an assigned. I think everyone has an assigned day now, where they
Yes,
can.
and when you go on to when you log on to TWC website and you click on the payment request button on the menu, it will tell you what your day is. It'll say you cannot submit a payment request yet. It's not your day. Your day is next Sunday or next Tuesday or whatever it is. And then that day starts a week where you can submit your payment request.
Ah. So just in case the website is overloaded or the phone line is busy the whole day, you're not left out. You should still keep trying.
Yeah, if you're
I think
try 3 a.m.
that's right. I do mine at midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And I think that Thursday through Saturday, maybe they are open for everybody.
Yes.
But then Sunday through Wednesday, it's assigned based on I'm not sure what, maybe area code or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the area code is mainly for the new applications, right? There are different times of the day now scheduled for different uh, area or the first number of your area code, right, of your phone number, um, and so that helps to use those times. But I think after 5, I think it goes on to where anybody can use the system again. I believe. Um, but that's one way that they're managing the load. Um, have you guys done this mostly online? I've done it all online. I haven't actually spoken on the phone with anyone. Have you guys actually spoken with anyone? I know, Kaz, you said you spoke to someone on the phone initially or early
Yeah,
on.
I mean, when I first started making attempts at applying in March, it was impossible to get on. And then if you got on, it was a waste of time because they were not set up to accommodate self-employed people yet. And I didn't know that. And so I kept doggedly trying to submit an application and it just never happened. But finally, I actually did speak with someone, and she actually was very, very helpful in getting me initially set up with an application. And I've spoken to that same person several other times in El Paso.
How did you accomplish that? How did you accomplish speaking to the same person again? Did you get a direct line eventually, or?
Um, I'm here to tell you, 915.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I mean, this is gold here. So, no, you owe me. This is 915 832 6595. And that's an El Paso information number for TWC, 915 832 6595. The person I spoke with was Stephanie Bustillos, who was wonderful. and her extension is 5653. And a lot of times when I tried to reach Stephanie, all through the course of having problems with my applications, I couldn't reach her. So I started randomly punching in different numbers.
Huh.
And I tried 5652 and got to be very good friends with Rachel at 5652.
Wow.
She was helpful. So, I mean, you just got to do what you got to do to try to get this to happen. It's not easy.
Is that if you just call that number, do you have to put in an extension?
I always did because
Okay.
I had that extension for Stephanie, and I had already spoken to her 3 or 4 times, and she'd been really, really helpful. In fact, one time I talked to her for about 5 minutes, and 10 minutes later she called me back and she said, "Oh, I just got some new information for you." This was right when TWC was retrofitting their website to accommodate self-employed and independent contractors right at the beginning of April.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and that has continued to happen. You started 5-6 weeks ago. I started 3 weeks ago, and some of the options have changed on that initial application
Completely.
now as a result. So it is really important if you're starting now or if you're restarting now to make sure you read the directions as they come up on the thing. It's really important because it's just changing so quickly. But it's changing for the better, and they are getting people into the system, but there are still people with lots of horror stories about how long it's taken them, and they haven't been able to get in yet. So yeah, don't give up if you're a musician, and you've lost income. Um, this is what you need to do because the industry is going to be slow to come back. Um, and this is of course just one of the things you need to do. There's lots of other options too. That COVID resources page on the on AFM433.com has some of the other things you can apply for. Particularly music cares from the Grammys has grants, and there are some local places that are giving out grants to musicians. Um, so it's very important, and it's very important to the whole society that the arts survive this thing, because they're going to need us. I promise.
We'll be back.
Yes, yeah, yes, indeed. Well, it's just about to the 2 o'clock hour here, guys. Are there any other? Oh, we have a question from the chat room. Can you repeat the number, Kaz? One more time. I can actually probably repeat it. I believe
You wrote it down too.
I
Right?
wrote it down too. I believe tell me if I'm right here. I've got 915-832-6595. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And you said Stephanie's extension was 5653.
Yep. And Rachel was 5652.
5652. Well done, sir.
And honestly, if you typed in 5651, you'd probably get somebody else.
Right. Yeah. It seems. Yeah. You've discovered kind of the method there for
Oh, I broke the code.
social
Yeah.
engineering the TWC. This is the kind of information we're trying to get out there. This is great. Thank you for that.
It takes creative people, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and watch out when creative people get involved. You better look out. So, yes, indeed.
Yeah. Also say, and I was just looking to see if I could find this. There's also an email, which is UI Central. So that's the letter U, the letter I, and the word central at twc.state.tx.us. And
Wow.
that was sending an email to that address was the key that finally unlocked the door for me in my early stages of the process, because somebody answered that email that I sent to that address and said, "We will have somebody call you," and they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Man, that is interesting.
Yeah. Now I don't know if that's still viable or not. I mean, I don't know because haven't had to do that lately. But,
Let me see if I can put that on the screen real quick. Um, so that was UI Central at twc.state.tx.us.
correct.
Wow. Let's see. Can you see that? Is that large enough? Yeah. Wow. And that phone number was 915-832-8595 and extension 5653 or maybe extension 5652. Yeah, is that coming up on that screen there? I think it is.
Let me see,
Probably in there somewhere. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that leaves um, the scheduling question here, fellas. Do we want to do this again on Tuesday, or do we want to wait for next Friday? I don't mean to put you on the spot live on the air.
your call. I mean, I think we should do what the traffic will bear. If it looks like there's a lot of people who are clamoring for information and getting in touch and wanting to get some answers, I'm fine with doing Tuesday. If it seems like there's not that many people, then maybe we can wait till Friday.
That seems reasonable. So let's do that. Let's make a call out. If you'd like to hear from us sooner than later, send us an email at ucac@afm433.com with some questions. You can also comment on the Facebook announcement about this live session, or in the comments for the video on YouTube. Either way, let us know, and yeah, we're trying to get help as many musicians onto this program as we can, because we think that's the best way forward, and the best way to survive this, for our profession. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here, and we'll see y'all again
All
soon.
right. Thank you.